Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at the spot, your favorite place, where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. We're going to Albuquerque, hot New Mexico. We're going to visit with Lynn Doxon. She helps families turn their land into beautiful, abundant, alive food forests. Food sustainability is something, brains, that we need to take extremely serious. Our food is being genetically modified. I read somewhere that you have to look at the label on the meat to see if it is not lab grown. The soil, the water, and also the absence of great food sources in urban communities. But I have a little garden in my backyard, and she's going to talk to us about that, sustainability, and really what this looks like in today's environment. She's smart brain. She's got a PhD, so she knows her stuff. We're going to talk to her about that and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Lynn Doxon?
I'm doing just fine.
Yeah?
Glad I'm inside right now.
I know. I'm glad you're inside too. Let me ask you a quick question. When it's hot like this, is it best to water your plants early in the morning or late at night so they don't burn?
It definitely is. You always want to water, preferably early in the morning, because that way it has a chance to dry before it gets dark. But
Mm.
you don't want to water in the middle of the day because you can have burn spots, and the water can act like a magnifying, water drops act like a magnifying glass on the leaves.
Well, my daughter is into growing like you wouldn't believe. She's got pumpkins and cucumbers and tomatoes, but she also has a possum.
Oh,
She just found the possum out there, and he was small, and now he's getting pretty big.
oh,
So
yeah.
we're going to talk about also the use of or the necessity of spiders and rodents because they do help the soil,
Right. Well,
right?
the soil is one of the most important things in a food forest or in any garden because there's scientists are saying that one third of the climate change that we're experiencing comes from burning fossil fuels, but another
Mm,
third of it comes from soil degradation because a
mm.
healthy soil will sequester a lot of carbon, but an unhealthy soil has no carbon.
Really? So,
Hmm.
how did you find yourself digging in the dirt?
Um, well, I don't actually remember how I first did it because I started gardening when I was 2 years old.
Oh,
Um,
okay. All
my
right.
mother my mother gave each of us a row in the garden, and she gave my older brother my older brother wanted to grow carrots, so she let him grow carrots. But with my younger brother and I, she learned, and we got bigger seeds that 2-year-olds can actually plant, and so I grew sunflowers, and my younger brother grew pumpkins.
Mm. And so you found a love for it at that point, or
found
what?
I
What?
found a love for it. My mother and my grandmother were avid gardeners with huge gardens, and then I went on. I had my own secret garden after I read the book A Secret Garden,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really very secret after I planted morning glories all around a dead peach tree, and the morning glories grew up, and the whole tree was blooming with morning glories, and the whole neighborhood came to see it.
Wow, I bet it was gorgeous. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the work you do and why you opt to deep dive and actually get a PhD in it, and what is a food forest?
Okay, well, let's start with what is a food forest. A food forest is a deliberately planted gardening system that mimics a natural forest, but its purpose is to produce food. So it can
Wow.
be any number of things, but it's deliberately planted and it produces food.
Okay. Well, I've never, you always hear it called a farm. You never hear
Hmm.
it called a food forest. So that's pretty
Yeah.
innovative.
Yeah, but a farm doesn't usually, a farm, when you think of a farm, you don't think of a lot of trees, but when you think of a food forest, it has a lot of trees. And food forest it has several layers. Um, my introduction to food forests was when I was getting my PhD, they asked me to come down to Honduras to see if I could teach Hondurans how to have home gardens. Well, I
Okay.
got there and I discovered that Hondurans all had home gardens already. They just didn't look like North American home gardens with rows of plants. And so the aid workers didn't see them as home gardens. So I completely changed my PhD project and did a nationwide survey of home gardens in Honduras. And then when I got back, after getting my PhD and working as an extension specialist in New Mexico, I worked on creating a temperate zone copy of those Honduran gardens, so things that would work in climates where there were things froze in the winter and that sort of thing.
Right. So give me some examples of the challenges that they have there in Honduras.
In parts of Honduras, it's very dry.
Mhm.
In parts of Honduras, it's very wet. And in the wet parts, they have a lot of disease problems. In the dry parts, they don't have enough water to grow some of the plants that they grow in the more wet seasons, wet
What is
areas.
what is their primary growing? Is it I don't know, is it coffee? Is it sugar cane? Is it
Well, they grow a lot of coffee. They also grow avocados.
Hmm.
And the trees that I found most commonly were coconut, avocado, and mango.
Oh, I love a mango. Oh my God.
I'm allergic to mangoes.
Are you?
I am,
Oh
yes.
my goodness, I make mango bread. And I love a mango. It's really, really good. Okay, so now when you are in a country like that, because I'm focusing on this brains because there's a lot of that going on here in the United States. Okay. When
Mhm.
you are in places like that and they have drought, severe drought, um, do you opt to grow things that use less water, or do you try to make canals so that they have a viable water source? What do you do there?
Well, both. Um, there were people. I was working in a farming systems um, project, which involved both the farms, the horticulture, um, and the social, helping them socially, like medically and getting better housing and things like that. So it looked at the whole system
Okay.
of the farmers, and we did a lot of different things. Um, what you can do in a drought is first of all try to conserve water, and
Mhm.
um, a thick mulch will help do that, and then apply water only where you need it.
Right, right,
Well,
right,
like with a
right.
drip system, or use some of the indigenous practices that people in Africa and the Southwest of the United States use, which is sunken gardens. You dig a pit on a slope and the water goes into that pit and soaks in, so you have more wet soil there.
Wow, that's pretty unique. I don't know if this is again something that you work with, but genetically modified seeds. We're not going to talk too much about that because it's a bone of contention and it can be very
Mhm.
controversial, but it can be very useful too in some climates and some countries. What do you think about that?
Well, genetically modified seed isn't all bad. Now, the seed that you can buy from seed catalogs for your garden is not genetically modified.
Okay.
But the cereal crops can be genetically modified. Corn, wheat, rice,
Mhm.
those things can be genetically modified. And there are advantages and disadvantages there. Just like the Green Revolution, which worked perfectly well until there were fertilizer shortages. Um, the genetic modifications have to be carefully monitored. One of the first things they did was try to um, create potatoes that would be poisonous to potato bugs. They
Mm,
succeeded very well, but they were also poisonous to people.
mm,
So that's one of the
mm.
first experiments in that area. But there are other genetically modified seeds that will be more pest resistant or more drought resistant, and that enables people to grow them that it couldn't otherwise. But
Two
those are
things,
mostly commercially available.
two things I want to ask you about that is that pesticides and then also um, food that does not deteriorate. I had an apple that I bought.
Hmm.
I know I bought it 2 weeks before because I had went on vacation. And when I
Hmm.
came back, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have gnats in there because I forgot to throw it out or put it in the refrigerator to preserve it. Lynn, I looked at that apple and it had not changed. It scared me to death.
Yeah,
It scared me to death.
yeah,
I'm like, what am I eating if it is organic?
it's
Even not
mhm.
in the organic aisle, but if it's organic, it
If
should
it's
deteriorate after,
It should.
5 days.
And they've yeah, things like tomatoes and apples and all sorts of things have been bred. It's not genetic modification, but it's breeding that
Mhm.
so that they can be shipped and not be bruised. And you can grow better tasting, way better tasting tomatoes and fruit in your own yard. But if you try to ship those across the country, they're going to end up mush by the time they get there. But
But
my own daughters,
what is it that they put on it? Because again, people say don't do this, but I wash sometimes with it like a cucumber or an apple or something like that. I'll put a little bit of a dish liquid on it. I try to use vinegar
mhm.
and water or baking soda, and I feel a difference. That wax that they put
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
they put paraffin on cucumbers to keep
Wow.
them fresh before they ship them.
Now they say when you go to wash them off, that goes into the actual inside. It doesn't wash it off. What is the best suggestion that
Um,
you have for cleaning our produce before we eat it?
well, I just wash it. I think that most of it washes off, and it doesn't. As long as the peel is intact, it doesn't enter. It doesn't go into the vegetable any more than it did when they put it on.
Okay.
So,
All
but
right.
the way it would might go into the vegetable is if you wash it after you've cut it.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think that this is wonderful, and it's a wonderful way to encourage children to eat better. I know some children that won't even try a green bean, that won't try. I
Mhm.
mean, they look at it and say, ew. They don't even understand the beauty of a green bean casserole or, or a salad with some fresh peas in it or some fresh walnuts. What can we do to encourage children to eat better and
Well, if they
try the food,
Yeah, if they grow it themselves, they're much more likely to eat it. I think it's about 30 times more likely to eat it if they've grown it themselves.
right?
So get them out into the garden. I wrote an article several years ago about gardening with children and getting children out to the garden. And I got several comments from people who said, that's dangerous. They might get a splinter. They might get bacteria. They might
Are
get
you
what?
kidding me?
Yeah, I really did. I couldn't believe it.
I did. No, I think that it's beautiful because if they see it and then they come in and clean it and they prepare it, they're going to be excited. They are going to be excited. I think that this is very important too because in so many concrete jungles, urban communities,
Hmm.
there's no grocery stores, there's no fresh
Right. Mhm.
vegetables that are going on. Lynn, can you tell us a little bit about hydroponics? I find it very fascinating that people are growing these great cabbages and kale and greens on a rooftop. What is that
Yeah.
about?
Well, hydroponics is growing with water basically that has fertilizer in it. And you put the root system in the moist area and then you put the right nutrients into the water and run it through. It's a constantly moving system. It it's soilless, meaning you don't use soil, but you do have to keep the pump moving and you have to keep adding the right fertilizer, right? Adding the right nutrients. So it's it's not something that could be considered organically grown, but you can grow food that way, and you can grow it generally with um, less disease and insect pressure on it by growing
Really?
it hydroponically. Yeah.
Okay, well, so it's not considered as organic.
No, it's not considered organic.
What is organic? Well, okay,
Well,
you explain to me
okay.
because you're the
All right.
you're the expert in that. What is organic? Because I'm gonna tell you something. This is me. This is the
Mhm.
skeptic in me.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I believe that that is a marketing strategy. Like you've got the aisle that's sugar free, gluten free, fat free, organic, and it's more expensive. I don't know if that soil has not been, you
Yeah.
know,
It's um there's probably about three or four definitions of organic. One is that organic is anything that has um, molecules made out of hydrogen and carbon in it. Hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. That's
okay,
anything that's an organic molecule. Another is it might say grown using organic principles, which means that they didn't spray it with anything, but they didn't get certified either. And then there's certified organic, which means that they somebody has come and investigated the property, tested the soil, and made sure that they did not use any manufactured chemicals in the process, and that they haven't used manufactured chemicals in a long enough period of time to make it so the soil isn't contaminated.
oh, so that's when you
So
get the apples that are $6 a pound.
yeah, that's what you get the apples that are $6 a pound because somebody has to come and say they didn't do this.
Right, right,
Yeah.
okay. But then, because they don't do that, what about the preservation of the food and the shipping and all of that? It has to be done more expeditiously because
It
it will.
does.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, that it has to be. And the organic food uh, might not look as perfect or pristine
okay.
as chemically raised food, but it generally has more nutrients.
Ah, okay. Because I love going to a farmer's market. And
Mhm.
I look in my little garden that I have, and I have some tomatoes, I've got some cucumbers. I love fresh herbs, and there's nothing more, I think it's kind of sexy. When you say, baby, can you go out in the garden and cut me some rosemary or cut me some thyme or and then you come
Yeah.
in and you put that in your food. It's extra love in there.
hmm
You know,
I think so.
food
Yeah.
and cooking is a meditation.
hmm
You are what you eat, be it the conversations that you have or the food that you put on the plate. What are some suggestions that you give us about having a healthy, uh, a healthy bounty of food for us to consume?
Well, I recommend planting what you can in your own yard. If you don't even have a yard, you can plant at least tomatoes and maybe cucumbers on your patio or balcony or whatever. And you can even grow sprouts and herbs inside. You don't even have to have any outdoor space to grow some things.
Well, and another thing that they do, you see all these hacks on
hmm
the Facebook. Everybody thinks
Oh
it's the
yeah,
world of
everybody's
Facebook.
good.
But what I like to do is I like to see if they work. Some of them do work, others don't work. So I'll cut off the stem of a uh, cabbage, for
hmm
example, and I'll put it in water, wait for it to root, and then try to plant it. Carrots, I had to talk to your brother because I didn't know the carrots grew that close together, that you gotta have to separate them a little bit for them to grow. That was a
Yeah,
learning
you have to
experience.
have them separated at least wider than the diameter of the carrot you want. And so you have to thin
Absolutely.
carrots.
Yeah, after
Yeah.
thin carrots, and then
Mhm.
I will do like an onion. An onion sprouts really good. Garlic takes a long time. Turmeric takes a long time. But
Mhm.
you actually have fruit trees where you have. What do you have in your forest?
I well, I have 23 fruit producing plants on a city lot. Um,
Wow.
we have apples, cherries, figs, pomegranates. Um, I can't name them all 23 off the top of my head, but
Wow.
so we have sweet cherries, sour cherries, and then king cherries.
Mm.
We have several varieties of apples, and we have an almond tree and a nectarine tree and a peach tree
Mm.
and some raspberry. uh, raspberries that don't produce very much in New Mexico. Um, I came in with a handful of raspberries the other day, and I told my husband, if we put these in the freezer and save them, in a few years we could make some jam.
So
But
what do you do with all of the, because I'm sure some of those trees are very they create such a harvest. Do you have a little stand out there that you sell fresh
we
vegetables?
used to sell things at the farmers market, but we decided it was too much work to get up early and go and have everything prepared. So mostly what we do now, we have probably a 10-year supply of jam. And
Oh,
we have we freeze them uh, we've been freezing apricots and plums lately, and I use those to make smoothies. So
oh.
we freeze, like if we have bananas that get overripe, we freeze those too. We don't grow any bananas because this isn't the place you can grow
You can
bananas.
freeze a banana?
You can freeze a banana, and then you can put it in a smoothie, and you put frozen fruit in the smoothie with whatever, whether you want juice or milk or whatever, and you don't have to put any ice in it.
Wow. I never froze a banana.
Yeah,
So
I have
I
a
have to
bag of
try that.
frozen bananas.
Okay. All right. So that's
Yeah.
good. That
Mhm.
sounds like it's fun. Do you so you have a lot of fruit trees. Do you have green vegetables
I
like
have
you got some collard greens? Because I'm
I
coming if
don't
you
have
got
any
some collard
collard greens
greens.
at the moment, but I do have what I do with the greens a lot is I just let them go to seed.
Hmm.
I've planted them and then I harvest what I need as they grow. But then the lettuce bolts and the Swiss chard goes to seed and all of that sort of thing. And I just let it do that, and then wherever it comes up, I start picking it when it's still small if it's not where I want it, and then I harvest it as it grows and let it go to seed again. And what that does is it not only you don't have to figure out when it's time to plant because things come up when they're in their own time. And over time, you develop a locally adapted variety because
Hmm.
that's what survives in your yard.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. My daughter is having a battle with a possum.
Mm. Oh dear.
Yeah, and you know what? And she loves animals, so she doesn't want to do anything to harm the animal. But what do you suggest about pest control? I mean, is it
Well,
just nature?
we do a variety of things. We fence some areas. We have fences around some of our areas, and then with the fruit trees, the top is for the birds and the bottom is for us. Um,
Okay. All right, that's fair. That's fair.
and generally the top gets ripe soonest, but it's way up there where we can't reach it because I've let our fruit trees grow tall, and so the birds get their fill up at the top while we're picking at the bottom.
Well, there's one good question I want to ask you before I ask you some fun questions. We're talking about drought,
Hmm.
here in California.
Yeah.
We get
Hmm.
that, in the wineries, it's drought. What can people do? I mean, we try to save the water. Do you not
Well,
plant as much, or you plant a different variety? What do we do to control that?
um, what we do in our yard, I'll tell you what we do here, is we have a very large rainwater tank
Oh, okay.
that we collect the rainwater and use that to water the trees. We have gray water. Now, New Mexico gray water laws are different from California gray water laws. Not every
Oh,
place can,
yes.
not every place can use gray water, but we did we New Mexico and Arizona are probably the most lenient about using gray water. We trenched our front yard every 10 feet and put in what's called pumice wicks, where we put weed barrier cloth in the bottom to keep the roots from growing and clogging it all up. Then we put a layer of pumice, and then we put perforated pipe, and we drain our washing machine, our showers, and our bathroom sink into that.
Hmm.
And it's this pipe is surrounded by pumice. The pumice absorbs the water and holds it if there's more water than is needed, and um, it keeps the trees in the front yard all watered. We put that in 2014, And the neighbor who lives behind us asked if we were commemorating World War I by trenching our yard. But
Wow,
we had
wow.
because we trenched it in this 10-foot grid because we did an experiment first to see how far it would soak out from the pumice, and it soaked out 5 feet. So the 10-foot grid waters the whole yard.
That's pretty ingenious. Here we have recyclable water, but we have a desalination plant. And
Hmm.
what they're doing is they're recycling the water. But when I talked to them and did an interview with them, they told me that that water had been through this recycling plant about 300 times.
Wow.
I know, scared me to death. So,
Yeah.
you don't know what your water source is, but you want to definitely try to conserve it.
Hmm.
Again, water is
Yes.
a very precious resource, even though the earth is three-fourths water.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also,
What we've done to our oceans and our lakes and
mm,
our streams
yeah.
is just unbelievable. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a couple
Yeah.
fun questions. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say also use if well, you can't use gray water, and even some places prohibit people from saving rainwater, which I think is ridiculous. The rain fell on your property, you can save it. Um, but you can use a drip system. Drip irrigation is the most efficient, and make sure you water efficiently. You want to soak the root zone,
Mm,
um, but then you water deeply and infrequently,
okay.
and then you mulch. Use a lot of mulch.
Really, mulch is your
Yeah,
friend.
mulch is your friend.
Okay, all right. My daughter says, I don't like to use the mulch because then the possum's gonna think it's a nest, a place to have the babies. So
Oh, well,
we
that
just have
could
to,
be, but
yeah, we just have to do what we have to do. So how
yeah.
do my brains get in contact with you if they want more information about food forests and sustainability and growing and all the great things that you do?
Well, they can go to Lynn Doxon Mentoring / abundance.
Okay. Slashabundance.com or
It's lindoxonmentoring.com / abundance.
okay. And we will go in and we'll take a look at that and share this interview with grandma. Because, grandma always had a garden. If it was
Oh
a
yeah.
flower garden, always had something. And
Hmm.
then share that with the next generation of young people. Because, again, the food sources are different. I don't want to say, tainted. I don't want to give anybody a bad name. I don't know. That's not my zone of genius. I know those little strawberries that I have in my garden are about this big, but the flavor is unbelievable. I
Hmm.
know when I went to Italy, I had a peach, and that peach juice just ran down my face. I had a banana. Uh, the food tastes so different. It tastes so different in other
It does
countries.
taste
So,
different, yeah.
so there's something that we're doing or not doing here that we should be doing. And again, growing our food is good for your health too. It's good for your mental health,
Mhm.
gardening.
Yeah, there are before I got my PhD, I got a master's degree in horticultural therapy. And what I
Mm,
studied at that point was stress reduction in gardening.
yes.
And I found out that it leveled everybody out. I had people who were under responsive, like depressed and things, as well as people who were overexcited and overstressed. And it's leveled everybody out.
Well, and it's good for me too because it's a good workout. Carrying those water pails, lifting up the dirt bags, bending over, pulling out the weeds. So it's great
Mhm.
exercise. A lot of senior citizens love to garden for very different reasons. Lynn, if
Yes.
you were a appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
I'd probably be the refrigerator to keep the
Why?
food to keep all that food safe and healthy.
That's good. What is your favorite your favorite food?
I'm a little like my 13-year-old who has seven best friends. I have several favorite foods, um, but I would say strawberries and watermelon are right there up at the top.
I heard that watermelon, and people don't realize this. When I went to Asia, I didn't realize how much watermelon they eat. I heard that that's really, really good for you.
It is.
It's really good for you.
Yeah, good vitamin C and
Yeah. If you
hydration.
If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
Oh, I'm not that into cars, but I'd be a hybrid, I guess. I don't know.
Sustainable, renewable. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Give us one good tip that we should take with us as, a sense of a source or a sense of inspiration for growing.
Uh, Well, I think the number one thing is that homegrown is more healthy and it's right there in your own yard.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. You are a
Mhm.
wealth of information. Thank you so much, Lynn, for doing what you do and being here with us on the edge.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Brains, I need you to go in this address right here. You see it? Love, like, share, and subscribe. Love, like, share, and subscribe. Those likes take us a long way. Yes, they do. And again, I thank you, Lynn. Come back. And next time you come back, I'm going to be in the garden. I'm going to show you what I have grown, and you're going to be pretty proud. I may not be able to get a fruit tree, but I may be able to get a good harvest.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brains. Have a good day.